Molweni Makaya, and welcome to Women in Sport Africa. Wiser is what we call ourselves. And on this show, let me tell you, we bring in only the best women in sport. You'll be motivated, you'll be inspired, maybe shed a tear or two. But nonetheless, by the time you're done watching this show, I'll say this week and I'll say it every week, you would have grown just a little bit wiser. My name is Lonabo Miso, and it's always a pleasure to bring you this show where we bring you a guest each week that has changed the game in one way or another when it comes to women in sports. Today, we unpack the story of Sinenjabulo Zungu-Ntuli, and we've discovered so far how she got into the position of CEO at AmaZulu, her childhood, and her being a little naughty girl in the classes of St. Mary's, and how she's evolved to the person that she is today. Sne, thank you so much as we continue our conversation. So, social media, the advent of social media, and I know it comes with a lot of negative, but also it's given us as a people in a community certain words, like self-doubt, and there's a phrase that that misses me, but when you go into a new position and you're not really sure if you're able to do it, but you have to go in anyway. How do you deal with those moments where you're not too sure if you're up to the task and if you can do it?
It happens. I'll start there. But I think with experience, you get better at it. Although there will be moments where you find yourself in spaces where you think, maybe a bit too much. But experience will tell you that if you've done it before, you can do it again and you'll be just fine. But yeah, I think it's tough, and a lot of I'll speak for women. I don't know what men go through, but I'll speak for women. Imposter syndrome, that's what it is.
Imposter syndrome is the word I was looking for.
I'll speak for a lot of women. They go through that. But I also think it depends on the level of confidence you have in yourself. Because for me, confidence will get you through a lot of things. Whether you have the experience, whether you don't have the experience, whether you have the know-how, whether you don't have if you've got the confidence, it will honestly, it's a starter. So, yeah.
So it's the confidence that becomes somewhat of a game changer. Yeah. And I suppose just touching on back to AmaZulu, the confidence to say, and we touched on it earlier, that yes, my father is the chairperson or the president of the club, but I own my own role with the person that I am and the experience that I come with, because you do have that MBA, you do have the experience that you've garnered at a very young age.
Outside of the education and the work experience, which I think has amounted to me paying my school fees. I also think the way that I was raised by the women has contributed a lot into me being able to hold my own in certain spaces. My grandmother and my mother were I feel like they were intentional in the words that they spoke to me. They made me believe like I can do anything.
Yes.
Honestly, they did. And
it makes a huge difference.
They really did. My mom used to call me Miss World, which was a joke to my cousins, because they're just like, girl, what are you on about? But I grew up with that. And I think every space that I entered, I was like, man, I can do it. My mom thinks I can do it, so I can do it. So that has honestly assisted in every space, because even when you start work outside of varsity, you needed some level of confidence to be able to lead or navigate around that. So it definitely helped me in navigating not only AmaZulu, but other positions before that. You need the grit, you need the confidence, you need the leadership. If you've got those three, and others, I suppose, you can do it. it is hard to crack just purely because it's a male-dominated industry. But I think for myself, I'm quite intentional in making sure that AmaZulu plays a role in elevating women and in being inclusive and including women in that space. So AmaZulu, there's a lot of females in the administration.
Yeah. And why is that important for you to bring in more females in the space, a space that you know that it's not the friendliest?
Because if males can do it, why can't we? One. Two, we can probably do it better. But no, honestly, if males can do it, why can't we? Why must it be preserved for males only? It's a sport. It is a business. So open up the space for other human beings to partake in. And that is, I suppose, females. So for me, it's important that females take part in industries or spaces that are predominantly male. I think also from a leadership perspective, you come with a softer side, and that does add some value in any space, really.
It makes a massive difference. And I mean, coming into a space that is football, we've seen and heard the stories of how our footballers die without money, a footballer has died, and let's start contributing. Is there that strong focus as well? Because Endlini, we know it's the lady that takes care of the finances. Is that something that you've also looked at and said, it shouldn't be unique to females knowing how to handle your finances and planning for the future?
Definitely. We've actually got a program that we started in 2021, I think. It's called the ABC. It's AmaZulu Business College. College is a bit misleading, but the intention is to actually have an institution of sorts that has accredited courses for our players. But at the moment, it's not accredited courses. We try to bridge the gap insofar as what you're speaking about, where we bring in financial skills financial literacy. We bring in soft skills. We speak about mental health because that is also a huge issue that we tend to overlook, because we look at these players and we're like, oh, they're professionals, they should behave in a certain way. But they are professionals that come with a whole lot of issues from back home. And if they're not right mentally, they can't perform on the field. And they just can't be holistic human beings. So we do have a program in place because we are trying to attend to that issue where you find players becoming statistics and now they don't have money, they've ended their career before they should have actually ended their career because behavior was not right. Or isiphelile career, they have nothing to their names. Why? Because they weren't exposed to the right platforms, they weren't exposed to the right education. And also by education, we're not saying go get a degree, but at least get them enlightened so they know where to go and how to approach certain things.
And I don't know about you at home, but if you see, then maybe you need to go to a re-election of some sort. We are sitting with Sinenjabulo Zungu-Ntuli, a CEO at AmaZulu, amongst the many hats that she wears and she's worn. And when we come back, we'll go into a little deeper about some more challenges that we come across in life, and of course the legacy going forward for herself as a CEO, and of course as a woman who is bossing this thing we call life. And welcome back to Wiser, Women in Sport Africa, a show that profiles, interviews, shines the spotlight on phenomenal women in sport. And our guest today, if Uqubukene is Sinenjabulo Zungu-Ntuli. Sne, obviously, as a young girl who's growing up in KZN, you have the picture in your head that one day I'm going to get married and this is what my life will look like. But unfortunately, sometimes in life, a rug will be pulled under your feet, and that's what you experienced. I imagine that the vision was growing all together, and that's what marriage is about. And unfortunately, then it so happened that you lose your husband at a young age, who also had a whole future ahead of him. that space, and I suppose, as I'm saying, that rug being pulled out of your feet, who then becomes that person that became your support structure?
I've got a good family and I've got good friends. But when you're going through that, it's also hard to lean on your support structure. It's so hard to deal with that you just want to deal with it on your own. But you don't even know how to deal with it on your own. You know that your family is there, you know that your parents are there, your friends are there. If you need something, you can tap into them. But like I say, it's very difficult. I mean, even now, I don't really know how to deal with the situation, but we're here. And I think that's probably testament to the fact that I've tried to deal with it the best way I can. But yeah.
So earlier on, I also alluded to how social media has borrowed us certain terms to try and explain. But like, for example, if you were to try and say mental health, ngesiZulu, ngesiXhosa, Venda, you'd really have to think about it and try to find the words to describe what it is. And it's still a complicated relationship in our communities when it comes to mental health, when it comes to dealing with grief. It's something that happens to us week in, week out. We're all going to bury a loved one, yet we still have that complicated relationship with how you grieve.
I don't think Black people know how to grieve. And they don't know how to deal with grief. And I say this because they'll say things like, what does that even mean? How do you determine right? Or, also right? Are you okay? It's been a couple of months. What does that mean? I just think it's such a complex thing to even try to explain to anybody who hasn't experienced it, because even you yourself are trying to find a way to deal with this thing that's called grief. If you haven't experienced it, it's a word. Once you experience it, you also just like, it's a word, but what does it mean to me and what does it look like? So it's a challenge. It does affect your mental health. You honestly just have to do it your way. There's no prescribed way of doing it. There's no blueprint. And also, we could both experience loss, but the way we deal with grief is completely different. And we could also both experience loss of partners, but the way we grieve is different. Yeah. So you just have to deal with it the best way you can. And I think that's what I've tried to do. I've gone through phases of heavy mental, whatever you want to call it. And there's periods where I'm fine. And then there'll be a small trigger. If you were to ask me what the trigger is, I don't know either.
But it comes.
But it comes.
Yeah.
And it comes in waves, hey? It will literally catch you off guard. You'll be sitting, I'll be laughing, having a conversation, and then all of a sudden there's this thing. So yeah, I don't know, you find a way.
And just lastly, I guess the other complication is having to then go through these processes in the same space, because someone else will lose a partner who worked somewhere in a bank. Your partner worked where you work, in the same space with the same players, which then brings another completely different challenge where 2 weeks, a month later, you have to go to that same football pitch.
Yeah, that was tough. I think the first couple of games I struggled, but I forced myself to go also. I intentionally forced myself to go because I said, if I don't go, it'll be even more difficult to go later on. So I would go and I'd be crying up there in those stands, but I'd be watching the game. I think it's better now. Also, like I said, the support structure is really good. I had people who were very sensitive to the situation and who were accommodating. So that helped quite a bit. And he had made a lot of his teammates he had some of his good friends actually there in that space. So it helped somewhat.
Hi, strong. I can give that to you. You're very, very strong in and outside of what you went through, but just generally as a person. As you walked in and you sat down and in conversation, I sense that I'm sitting here with a strong woman who is confident. And as you spoke about the confidence you got at home, iyabonakala in the way you speak and in the way you carry yourself. But I want us to have a bit of fun. Just relax before we wrap up this episode of Women in Sport Africa. And I hope that at home you've been enjoying this conversation I am having with Sinenjabulo Zungu-Ntuli. And so far, I can confirm with Injabulo Usiletele, that's for sure. And we're going to have more after the break. And welcome back to our last couple of minutes on Women in Sport Africa. If you've just walked in, I can say that you've officially missed a lot, but in these last few minutes, we're just gonna be a little lighter and get to know Usne, the fun side, the Sne that's wearing sneakers. I wish you would have told me, because Nami, I was gonna relax and wear sneakers like you. But how would you then describe the kind of girlfriend that you are to your friends? Are you a girl's girl? Because some girls are friends with guys more.
I'm definitely not friends with guys more. I'm a girl's girl.
When you go back and you think of where you come from, going back to your childhood, do you think the young girl Sne is proud of the Sne today?
Absolutely, yeah. I think she is. I mean, I've still got a long way to go, but I think I haven't done too badly. Yeah, I think she's proud.
And if you were to write a quick love letter to her, like 2 sentences to that young Sne, what would you say?
Don't worry, things will come together. Yeah, that's it.
And I suppose that's a message for young girls in South Africa, because things do come together.
They do come together.
Yeah.
They do come together. Just focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then looking at women in sports in general in the country, as we enter these spaces, we're seeing more female coaches coaching men's teams. We're seeing females buy and run clubs, and we're seeing a lot happening when it comes to women in sport. What is your dream for women in sport? Let's start with South Africa, just the arena that we're in at the moment in our complicated country.
Outside of playing, because I think we're getting some traction there. There's a lot happening in women's football, which is really great. But I think from an administration point of view, I really would love to see more women in top positions. It can't be that only 1 or 2 females own clubs. But again, that obviously speaks to economic freedom, if you want to call it that. But I really would love for us to get to a space where in the PSL you've got more than 3-4 women owning football clubs. If not owning, in leadership positions, significant leadership positions where they make decisions.
Sometimes it is questionable how we support each other as females, you know. You were excited to get into a room and see a fellow female, but sometimes you get into a room and the other female is not really that kind because this is supposed to be my space as the only female. How do we then work around those dynamics as sister to sister?
That's such a pity. There's enough space. There's a big pie or enough pie for everybody to benefit from. I don't think there is there's nothing great about you being alone in that space. I must admit, I appreciate being a minority in certain spaces just because I think it challenges you. But I don't think blocking other people or feeling some type of way about other females entering spaces is great. I think you all have value to add. So I honestly, I genuinely don't understand females that have issues with other females entering certain spaces. It's such a pity because I think females have a lot to add in all industries, actually.
there's a long way we can go if we are in the same space, because now you have another lady to bounce things on.
Yeah.
You know, those conversations to say, this is what I'm doing in my club. Maybe you can learn a lesson from me and I can learn a lesson from you.
You can join hands and be a force. In fact, it's better to have more of you than one of you in that space. You'll get more done. Yeah.
Okay. Beach or bush holiday?
Bush.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Why bush?
I like those safari drives. Yeah, I like the bush. I think a lot of my local holidays are more bush than beach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guess speaking of holidays, and specifically in South Africa, it's the best place to have a bush holiday. What would you say is what we need to be proud of as a country? We've passed 30 years in democracy. As we've said, even though it feels like it's taking time, but we're seeing women in these spaces. What would you say about South Africa and the female leadership and where we are going?
It does give me confidence. It's slow. It could have gone faster, but I think we are getting into spaces that are predominantly male. We are getting positions in those spaces. It's still a bit slow. It could, like I said, it could go faster. I mean, even speaking about the pay, there's quite a difference in pay between females and males. Yeah. But we're moving. It's better to move than be still. So we'll take the movement, but I just feel like we could do a lot more to get females participating more significantly in certain areas.
And looking at what you've done so far, and I know you've achieved greatly, but when you look at where you are and where you'd like to go, what is the big dream? I mean, already CEO is super big. Does it get bigger?
I don't know. I don't think CEO is super big. Sure, I've got so many aspirations, but I think I've loved the football space, or rather the sports space, and I'd like to see myself playing an even bigger role, whether that takes me to Africa or globally. I don't know, but I really would love to see myself there.
Oh, FIFA can have a female president. I mean, why not? So, Sine, one of the exciting things that we announced last year is you going back to your former school, St. Mary's, and building a sports hub that will be named after you. Number one, when you hear that that is going to be happening, how excited were you? And what is the vision for that sports hub?
So I was actually approached by the school. They wanted to partner with an old girl that they thought was fit for that purpose. And I think there's certain things they look at. Was the person, did they contribute to the school whilst they were there? Were they an example to the kids? And all those kind of things. So I was honored to be approached. Whether I was going to take it or not was a different story, but it was an honor to be approached. And when they obviously said that the opportunity is for the sports hub to be named after you, I was like, why not?
Yes.
So it's a very, very, very exciting project for me. St. Mary's holds a very dear place in my heart. I think it's it shaped me a lot. It really had a lot to do with the person that I am today. So it was a great honor to be approached for that purpose. It will be ready soon and it will be launched soon. So we're looking forward to that. It's a sports facility that is, I want to say all-encompassing, because it's going to have a gym inside. There's a viewing deck for the different fields around the school. It's quite a significant project and a significant building in the school.
Invitation, please, when it's being launched. Sinenjabulo, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. It is an honor, and I know how busy your schedule is. So we really, really appreciate you coming. And I know at home, the young girl the older girl is also happy to have seen and known the story of Sinenjabulo Zungu-Ntuli. And that's what Women in Sport Africa is about. It's about the stories that are sometimes not told, but also it's about being motivated and getting inspiration from each and every story, because there's always something to learn. And from this, we walk out with confidence, because that's what Sine said. Even if you're not too sure, just go in there confidently. I hope you have a lovely day further.